a thing that I've experienced dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of times. With addiction and stories and journeys and rock bottoms, like it's all relative. It's a moving target. And it's, so being deep in your addiction versus somebody being deep in their addiction, sure, if you go macro and you're like, oh, they've had more wrecks or more DWIs or destroyed more lives or robbed, ripped off more people or OD'd more. Still, like, it's all kind of from the same place of often trauma or some sort of like some way you relate to yourself or don't. Right. And so it's all from like some sort of isolation caused by trauma. It's some sort of response to how you live life. And so that is inside. That's all I know. I can't know your story. I can't relate to how deep your addiction is, but I can relate to the fact that I'm not okay. Mm-hmm. And being not okay is just being not okay. And if you take it to a needle or to a bottle, it's still all the same.
Right.
It's still just not okay. My rock bottom might be one DWI. There's somebody in my life who never considered themselves an alcoholic, and they are now facing a vehicular manslaughter charge, and their life is ruined. Their life is in shambles, right? And it's been a pretty short amount of time, and they're learning how to be okay with themselves again, which I couldn't even imagine. I mean, I think about it and get completely sad. So I've gotten pretty close to this human, and their addiction wasn't as deep as my addiction. Their rock bottom, well, some might say, is the rockiest bottom, but they didn't experience an addiction to drugs, alcohol, cocaine, and then crack for 20 years.
Right.
And it's the most important thing that's happened in their life and the most terrible at the same time. And, my rock bottom once was 3 DWIs, and then it was 4. And then it was the realization that my children are hurt by this. And then it was the realization that my wife didn't want to be with me anymore. Then there was the realization that I had to sell my house and do this and do that. And then it became a sad story with all like what do you say, like a country western song, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, all the boxes got checked, and that was a true rock bottom. But can I hit another rock bottom if I go and drink tomorrow? Oh, hell yes, I can.
Yeah. I love this is why I wanted to talk about rock bottom.
Yeah.
Because I think we align in a lot of ways on our feelings around it. Uh-huh. I think it takes what it takes.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to sit in a circle and make comparisons of how many times did you go to jail? Oh, okay, you went 10 times. Okay, I only went 4. Right. I only got arrested for this and not that. And I only got, only ruined these amount of relationships or whatever. The thing is, it takes what it takes. And in those moments, a lot of them, for me, especially, like I was like, this is as bad as it can get.
Yeah.
Can't get worse.
Right.
Well, it gets worse.
It does.
Yeah. And I know that's part of playing the tape forward. And I love that you said that. That's like the analogy that I use. I'm aware now, if I start drinking today, there's a really good chance, one, it doesn't end for a while. And it's going to get myself, or I'm going to be in a worse place than I ever have been before.
Right.
And I think that it's hard to live life constantly thinking about that. Like, in fear or running from alcohol. I try not to do that. I try just to have the awareness of, hey, that's not part of my life anymore. Right. It's part of my life in the sense of I want to help people that are struggling with it, but it's not part of my life of like, hey, I want to partake in that.
Right.
Because to your point, that rock bottom is a moving target. It's going to keep moving. It's going to keep shifting. And from my experience and from most of the people I've talked to, it doesn't get better.
Right.
It just gets deeper.
It does. And then it leaves you with a bigger hole in you, right? Because then the shame is back, the humiliation's back, the covering. Look, if we have found this peace, it's I'm not always at peace.
Yeah.
If we have found this peace in our life, however many years later, and then we go back out, that peace has been disrupted. At least for me, in my experience, like that is what that is going to mean, right? If I am in peace, if I am in, and I am not always in peace. In fact, I'm in a place in my life today where like my peace is very much disrupted, just through some things that are going on in my life. And like, if I am not more aware of that today, then the chances of that going back out become greater. If I'm not more connected to people in my life who are doing the things that I'm doing, if I'm not attending, it's connection for me, right? Like that is the most important part for me. And I know that if I'm back out, if I get to the place where I'm back out, it's not because I've graduated life. It's not because I've done it so well that I'm ready to drink again. And I think some people have that mindset. And I mean, who's to judge them, right? But like, there's no graduation for me. There's no like I'm good again. Like if I'm going back out, it's because I'm not good again, and I know that for me.
Right.
And I believe that to be true for a lot of other people because I've heard those experiences through shares.